What's up, YouTube? This is Big Mike. As many of you already are aware, actor and comedian Robin Williams was found dead today in his home. And I talked about the news of his death on my original channel. And I know this is my sports channel, but I think this is a significant enough event, even though it's a non-sports story. Let me talk to you about some thoughts I have about his unfortunate death. And the one thing I want to talk about is when, there's always been this link between comedians and tragedy. There's always been this fine line between that. And there's very few comedians I can think of where there was not some type of tragedy or trauma that they had to go through in their personal lives. Whether it be their upbringing, or whether it be their personal life, ongoing while they're a comedian, even while they're quote unquote at the top. Now, I used to think when I was a kid growing up that these comedians were the happiest people on earth, that they always were like how they appeared to be on stage. And generally these people are not. Generally comedians are very unhappy people on the inside. There's so many different people I can think of. Chris Farley, for instance, was always unhappy about his appearance. He didn't feel like he was attractive. He felt like he was overweight, and that people didn't like him personally because of that, and in particular women. It left him very insecure. He felt like people didn't really like him, and that he always had to be on. His persona, he always had to be in his comedic persona for people to like being around him. And then I think about his idol, John Belushi, and one of the funniest comedians of his generation, and how he had issues with substance abuse himself, and that led to his demise. And if you can think about Richard Pryor, who arguably is the greatest comedian of all time. He's the greatest stand-up comedian. And it's been well documented his issues with a harsh upbringing, drugs and alcohol, and for the last nearly 20 years of his life, his battle with substance abuse. And the list goes on and on and on. I remember Rodney Dangerfield saying that when he was a child, he was so lonely and he wanted affection so badly that he accepted the offer of what we would call now a pedophile, to be touched. The man paid him just so he could feel some type of connection with somebody, just to be held or touched. I think his mother was very abusive to him. That's just sad, you know what I mean? And Lenny Bruce. There's just so much tragedy when it comes to comedians. Even his name, Sam Kinison, Bill Hicks. It's just so many of these guys. What's the other guy? Mitch. I think his name was Mitch Hedberg or something like that. Just so many different guys are just coming to mind now. Like, just were extremely funny people, but they had a lot of personal demons, and their demons caught up with them. And I don't want to speculate what happened to Robin Williams, but I have read that apparently he hanged himself. And, I don't know what was going on in his personal life. I know he was getting older. Um, I know he had some surgeries recently. I don't know what's going through Robin Williams' mind. But it's just a shame that a person as talented as he was, and a person who was loved by so many people who he didn't even know, could be this in this state of mind and to want to commit an act as such. There's something seriously wrong there, and I don't know, man. I just felt like just vocalizing my inner thoughts, and I don't know. I just couldn't make sense of this one. Maybe it's the fact that I'm part of a generation where Robin Williams was a huge star in the '80s, particularly the early to mid '80s, and he had a successful transition to movies. At one point, man, Robin Williams was one of the probably top 10 male stars in Hollywood. Every movie he was making was at least successful, if not a big hit. And it just doesn't make sense, man. It's just for him to go out in that manner. It's I don't know. Like I said before, man. And a lot of people say you just never know what's going through a person's head, and that's why I think people should not be as nasty as they have gotten. You don't know whether or not this man may have been in a very tragically sad state of emotional state, and maybe he read some type of press, something that was very critical of him. It might have pushed him over the edge, something he shouldn't have read at that particular time. That's a possibility that this may have just been a tragic accident. Maybe he didn't try to kill himself, and maybe it was just some type of act or something that went wrong. I don't want to go into that, but seen people who have had accidents that involve being in that type of situation. But I don't know, man. Just that the world has lost a very talented comedian, and he was a very talented comedian. I've read a comment with someone saying, "Oh, he was overrated." No, no. Robin Williams is one of the funniest comedians we've ever seen. All right. The type of comedy that he did was different. He was extemporaneous. He could just come up with things on the fly and make it hilarious. Had he lost a little bit of his edge as he got older? Maybe. He still could do it. Maybe some of his references weren't as funny to the younger generation because they didn't get it. But when he was in his prime, there was really nobody that could touch him. And I even think he surpassed his mentor, who was Jonathan Winters. So, second video I'm making about him because I just had to make another one. Rest in peace, Robin Williams. You're one of the funniest comedians ever. And I don't know.